Hi guys, and welcome to my first official full workout video here on YouTube. I'm super excited to start sharing my entire workouts with you. So let's just get right into it. So first of all, you will notice that in the beginning of this video, the gym is super busy. There was a class in the background, so just don't mind that. Everyone's amazing at the gym and the community is great, so they were just letting me do my thing, as you can see. So as you can see here, I always start any workout with a really good and thorough warm-up routine. So I'm working on my mobility here. Specifically, I'm working on opening up my hips because I will be working hamstrings and glutes today, and I will be doing sumo deadlifts. It's super important for me to make sure that my hips are not tight. So I continue. I usually spend, I would say, maybe around 10 to 15 minutes doing my warm-up routine. I really take my time because I know the importance of a good mobility and warm-up routine, especially when you're lifting heavy weights. You know, you really want to make sure that you prevent any possibility of injury. So I really make sure that my body's ready for the work that it's about to do. I also made sure to warm up my lower back with some cat-cow, which is going to be super important when I'm doing deadlifts, even when you're doing squats. So make sure that you also include that. So moving on, after I work on my mobility, I always continue with some glute activation. So especially on leg days, I want to make sure that my glutes are fired up. That way when I am performing the exercises, those muscles are awake and ready to put in work. So I'm just performing some of my favorite glute activation routines, especially for hamstrings and glute days. I like to use a long band to do some deadlifts with the band, as well as some good mornings. I continue to use the long band to also warm up my upper body as well as my back. As you can imagine, when you're doing something like deadlifts, your lats are involved, so it's important that they're also warmed up. And then I move on to these smaller bands to continue warming up and activating my glutes. Getting to the fun stuff, okay? I always like to start my leg days with the compound movements, and essentially my heaviest movements right in the beginning. That way my energy is directed towards that right away. So I warm up with my deadlifts by going up in weight gradually. And as you can see here, I mentioned already, I am doing a sumo deadlift. Sumo just means wider than hip width apart. I prefer sumo deadlifts because it's a little bit easier on my back, and I find that it works the glutes a lot more as opposed to conventional or RDLs. So once I got a little bit heavier in weight, I did put on my weightlifting belt, so that just helps protect my lower back even more, and I usually put that on once I get to 2 plates or higher. Another thing I can mention, which you'll notice, is that the higher I go up in weight, the less reps that I perform. So moving on, I did perform some RDLs. So this basically stands for Romanian deadlifts, and the difference here, as you can notice, is that my stance is a lot closer. Therefore, the emphasis is on stretching my hamstrings, and this is a little bit harder on your lower back, which is why I don't go as heavy. I'm doing this on plates to create a deficit, which allows me to get an even greater stretch and greater range of motion as I go down. Moving on to some hamstring curls that I did here. As you can see in my face towards the end of this, these really hurt, especially like at the end of your reps. So when you're doing this, make sure that you flex your toe up towards the sky or towards your shin rather. It's called dorsiflexion. That way that you can ensure that you're targeting the hamstrings. So next I perform hip thrusts. As you can see, I like to go pretty heavy with my hip thrusts. I should have paused at the top a little bit longer. I'm just speeding it up for the purposes of this video. I like to wear a band just right above my knees, as it gives me even greater tension and a greater focus on the glutes and hamstrings as I perform this. As I go up in weight, same concept as the deadlifts, I usually go down in reps. So I like to always include at least one isolation exercise, especially on leg days. So by isolation, what I mean is that I'm targeting one leg at a time. So here I'm doing something called a B stance or staggered deadlift. It's similar to the one-legged deadlift, except that leg in the back, that foot on the ground in the back, allows me to balance even more. So if your balance is not the greatest, you can do this instead of doing a one-legged deadlift where your leg would actually come off of the ground. Essentially, all of your weight will be distributed to that leg that's in the front, and you make sure that your form is similar to when you would do a deadlift, so your back is nice and flat. And as a quick finisher, I did some elevated frog lifts just to really pump up my glutes at the end of my workout. Heels to sky, as you can see here with that bend in my knee, and I just literally squeeze my butt all the way up. Okay, so we've made it to the end. The cool down and stretching period is just as important as the dynamic mobility warm up in the beginning of your workout. The difference here is that I'm performing more of a static stretch, so I'm actually holding the stretch for longer. I usually hold for about 20 to 30 seconds. Make sure you focus on your breathing, and you really want to focus on stretching all of those muscles that you worked during the workout. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up, comment if you have any questions, and please subscribe to see more workout videos from me. Bye!